Hey, welcome back to another exciting episode of creating a database using app scripts and Google Sheets. This is part 5, which we're going to be creating a function to search our database. So with that, let's go ahead and go over to our app scripts. If you don't have it open, it's extension and app scripts. And we're going to go ahead and create a new function called search all that you see here already. Now, in this search all function, when we enter our criteria, it will search the database and will pull out every row that matches the criteria here. So for example, we put in Dave and then we hit search and we go to our database. We can see that it'll probably pull out this, and this. So we have to put that somewhere after we initiate the search button. So that's where our output tab or sheet comes into play here. Well, we're going to stick the search results in here, and then from there we can use those search results to update or delete a certain item or certain row in the database. So we're going to need to search first, pull out all the information based on the search criteria, put that into another sheet we're going to call this output, and then from there we can use that in our update and delete buttons. So let's go back and start to create this function search all. So one of the things we have to do is when we put data in here, we have to first determine, is there data in this sheet or not? So one way to determine if we have data in the sheet is to actually look at a cell and see if it's populated. So for example, we have Dave here, and then we went to go click our search button, and it saw Dave, and needs to clear this out, and then put in the new search results here. Now this is empty. We have to find the results for that too. If it's empty, when we hit the search button, then it knows just to populate the output sheet without clearing it first. So how do we go about doing that? Well, the first thing is we have to check the first cell in the output sheet. Now, this doesn't matter. You can start it anywhere you want in here where you want to put your data. I'm going to start at B1, right? We're going to start out this column B and here, right? So that's where we're going to start putting our data in. So we just want to check this one cell. So we have to create a variable. And let's just call it Ritz and Giggle R, last R, row. And then we want to out sheet, it's our name of our sheet, and then we want to get cell B1. It's not a B1, the B1. So we want to check that, but we want to check for, is it empty or is it full? Or it has an item in it. So let's check and see if the cell is empty or full. So we have to do an if statement, and then we have to do a parentheses, and then we're going to do what? In this case, it's probably easier to check if the cell is not empty. If it's not blank. So we're going to use a function called isBlank. And that, our variable dot is blank. And since the function, got to do that. Go over, brackets, and now what? So if our output sheet is blank or not blank, in this case, not blank, what do we need to do? We need to grab the value that was in our criteria field on the input form right here. And so that's 4E, or E4. So and then we have to stick that into a variable. So if it's not blank, let's get, what do I call this? Called name equal, and where we're getting it from, input form. That input form there. We're getting it from the input form dot what? Got to get range again. Parentheses E4, And we need to get the values. So there's only one value. We just need that one. And then we're done. So now we have the name. So what we got to do with that name? Well, we have to search the database for it. But how do we do that? Well, we have to create there's a class called text finder, and we have to make an object of that class so we can use certain functions of that class. So how do we do that? Well, we need to create a variable for the class text finder, or I guess some people call it an object. So that's what we're going to do. Now, this can be a constant or a variable. So I'm just going to do it as a variable. So if you want to, you probably put it over here, right? We put constant and bring in that text class into a variable. And here's our out sheet. This is what it consists of. So let's go back down, and we're going to call it object text equal. We had to create the object, right? We create. I spelled it right. Of what? We need to create it to the worksheet that we're in, or the worksheet that we're going to use. In this case here is going to be the DB, the database worksheet. So we need to create a object for that sheet, a text finder object for that sheet. And that's what we're doing here. And there you have it. Right. And now, but that text finder has to look for something. And it's going to be in there the variable name. And then we hit enter. And then what we're going to do here. And we're going to take that, and then we're going to do find all. So by us putting this into this, it enables us to use the functions of that class text finder. So let's do another variable equal. Let's call that found row. Oh, that's better. Equal what? This variable. So we're going to do object, but what we want to do with that object, we want to find all the rows that have or match what's in the variable name. In this case, it's David or Dave. So we're going to go ahead and do that, and that's going to. Now we want to find all, close it off, and hit semicolon. All right, so now we have that done. Now the next thing is we have to clear the sheet. So we can do that at any time, but we could have done it up top here. But let's just go ahead and, in other words, we could have done it here, because once we get into this if statement, because the row is blank, we could clear it. So we can do that up here to not get too confused. So what we're going to clear, we have to clear the out sheet. That's what we need to clear. Where we're going to have to get? Well, again, we have to get the magic range. And what we're going to start with? Well, we have to start with row 1, because we want to clear everything in the sheet. Row 1, and we're column 1. And then what? We want to clear all the way down to what? To the last row that has date in it. So what's that? That's our friendly out sheet, because we want to find the last row in the out sheet. And that's called get last row. But then we also have to find the last column of that row. And so that's basically going to be the same thing again. Out sheet dot get last column. Oh, I forgot to put my little parentheses. And then what we want to do? Well, we want to clear everything between 1, 1 and whatever the last row and column is. And so we do a clear content. And since the function, do that. Let's get back to our text finder object. All right, so we're going to take what's in name, and it's going to search the whole database. And then it's going to put it in this, it's probably be an array called found row. So once it's all in there, we're going to need to iterate through that to pull each individual row and then stick it in our out sheet. How do we do that? We're going to go ahead and do the variable found row, because that's where array found row, that's where we that's where we put all our matches in. Dot for each, it's going to be our loop, open parentheses, and then we have to stick each one of those matches, but to put the row number of each one of those matches into a variable cell. That's what we're going to call it cell. And that's what this does here. Brackets. And now what we're going to do next. So, oops, that's not going to work. Well, we need to put the row number in a variable so we can get that range and then grab it from the DB and stick it in our out sheet. So that's done by doing, well, we have to create another variable. Row equal cell dot. Well, we want to get the row number, and that's going to be done by get row. There you go. Now grab it. Now if we want to prove it, we can do logger, little g. We can run it. All right, so let's just save this. Go here. Go to output. Let's put something in. Make sure we select the right function. Hit run, and let's see, it's going to error out. Yeah, so you found it all here. 11, 12, 13, 14. So let's take a look at that. Didn't put anything in because we didn't put anything in there yet. Let's go back to our database and see. So 11, 12, 13, yeah. There we go. That's exactly what the get row does. Grabs the row number. Hit enter. What do we want to do now? Well, we want to stick that crap into the out sheet, but first we have to get it into we got to grab those variables to put back in. Now we're going to do that. So we're going to do another let, and let's just call it items equal db dot get range. And why the db? Because that's what we're searching is the database, not the output file. And then what? The variable row here. We want to get this. We want to get from there. And since it's only going to be one column, I mean, one row and 12 columns. Not get what? In this case, values. Because we're grabbing multiple stuff here. So let's just go over here. So we want to start. We want to start in whatever row is here. So we remember 11. So this will be 11. And where's going to be starting it? Column 1. Row 11, column 1. And then how many rows we're going to grab? 1. But how many columns? 12. And then we're going to grab all those values at once. So that's why we're doing values. We're doing plural because we're grabbing more than one. And then we hit enter, which we did already. Nope. I'm going to go, well, crap. Let's hit enter. Now, once we get that, now we got to stick it into our out sheet. And then we have to get a range again. And then where we're going to put it? We're going to put it in out sheet last row. It's a function because we want to put it in the last row. What's the last row going to be? 0 or 1, whatever. Wherever it's going to be. There's going to be no date in it, so it's just going to be that one right away. How many columns starting with? What column we're starting at? 1. And then how many rows we're inserting? 1. How many columns we're going to insert? 12. And then we have to do what? Set what? Values. But what values? From items. But since this is a loop, we have to increment it. How are we going to increment it? That's not, wait to the end of the file and all that stuff. We need to increment it. So we know to keep on incrementing the next get row, get next, get next, get next. So we have to do I plus plus. Because don't we? That's how we're going to increment. And there we're done. So I'm going to bring this up here. That should be fine. Then we can get rid of this. Okay. Let's hit save. Input data is Dave. Let's put something here. And let's run it. Let's see if it puts it in there. Oh, we have an error. What's not defined? 70 and 75. What is I set to? Doesn't know what to increment to. So it do let I equal 0. Stop. Let's try run again. There we go. And it populated. And see, cleared it out too. And so we run this again. We should probably get the same stuff. All right. Let's go back there. And yet we still have it. Now, let's go ahead and delete this. Let's put something here. Let's go back to it. And let's do a run again. To see nothing happen. And it didn't even clear that. So let's put a couple values back in here. Hit run again. Oh, and I found something. And it cleared that and that. All right, so we have to now fix our, if there's nothing in our field or nothing in our out sheet, we want to do, I'm going to do an else, brackets, else what? Well, pretty much the same thing we have here. Except we're just going to do, I'm going to copy this in here. Basically going to do everything the same. Almost everything the same. Got to get the value, right? And then we have to create our object. But we're going to do something else here. We're going to put this find all on one line. So it's a different way you can do this. There we go. All right, it's more than one way here. This is more linear. You'll do one thing, create the object, and then what? Take that object and find something. And now we're just going to do it all in one line. I'm going to stick it all in object, text, and then we're going to do the same thing. We're going to have to do another loop. And we're going to have to change this. That's okay. That's okay. We can leave that in there. That's okay. That's okay. And that's okay. So let's run it. Save. Let's clear all this out. We still have our search criteria. There. Save. Search all. Run. See what happens. There we go. Now let's run it again. Now I should hit this one above here. This is going to tell us that we're going to, you see about 4 or 5 of these. So let's go. Check everything out. And we have the same stuff. Now, get rid of that. And so now we got that working. But one thing we want to do is when this one finishes or this one finishes, we want it to go to that output page automatically. So there we do the same thing again. What we're going to do right after here, but before this, we have to do workbook.set active sheet, that is. Workbook again. We get sheet by name, not by ID. By name. And what's the name of the sheet? And of course, if it's there, it will be true. Oop. And now that should work. And now we need the same thing here down below. So let's go ahead and just cut and paste this. We're going to put this where, so let's see, these two match. So we're going to hit that and hit that and hit that. Hit the magic save. Now, do we have anything in our thing? Now we're empty, right? So what do we have in our input? Let's get rid of that. Oop. And let's put in Dave. Let's hit our run. Huh? Oh, what happened here? That says 89. And we're going to have to do the same thing to this one up here. Hit save. It's got it here. So let's go ahead and just run this and see if it does a redirect. We're in F. Well, we can test this out real quick. We go in here, highlighting this, hitting this, hit assign script. And what do we call it? Search all. Okay. We have our search thing. See what happens. It did it. Now let's delete all this. Input. So hit Dave. Hit search. There you have it. Look at that. That actually worked. So there's still a couple other things that we need to do to this to make it a little better. However, we're not going to do that right now. But if you want to leave a comment down below and think what this particular function needs, a search all function, just leave a comment down below and I'll take a read and reply. So with that, we are now done with the basic search feature or search function. And next we will go to, let's do a delete button the next time. All right, so on our next video, we'll do the delete. We'll get the delete done. So with that, I hope everyone have a happy and healthy day.